Who says Caitlyn Clark doesn't play defense? She said, get it out of here. You know, that Billy Madison. Now you're all in big trouble. And that video is courtesy of, you can see Bree here, her account. She seems to have a really good relationship with Caitlyn Clark. Want to make sure I credit the source. That was at a Habitat to Humanity event. And I share it because, yeah, it's funny, you know, and it's a funny little clip. And it's going to be everywhere and viral and all that. But that's what it's really about. That's the point I want to make with this, that's what it's really about. Everybody can talk about all the nonsense and yell and scream about the Olympics and about the socio-political factors and all these, you know, carnival barkers, as I put it, who are talking about Caitlyn Clark and the WNBA. But the reality is good. You know, the reality is this league is growing. Caitlyn Clark is an absolute superstar. Obviously, you see kids like this with the jersey. I saw kids with the jerseys at Barclays Center. I saw kids with their Liberty jerseys at Barclays Center. And the numbers do not lie. You know, this WNBA season has been about cash much more than it's been about controversy. I always say there's a distinction between screen time and green time, meaning what you see when you're on a screen and everybody is yelling and screaming versus what you see when you're actually outside touching grass and, in this case, making cash. Because every single metric about the WNBA this year is way up. Think about this. It's actually competing with the NBA in terms of viewership. First month attendance is up 156% from last year, averaging 1.3 million viewers, which is, in comparison to the NBA, the NBA averaged 1.6 million. It's almost caught the NBA. Online store sales up 756%. I mean, and it's obviously, this is in large part due to Caitlyn Clark, but it's not just Caitlyn Clark. Other games are getting better attendance. Other games are getting better ratings. So I do, and I've had this message before, you know, sometimes you want to step back a little bit and calm down a little bit through the noise. And look, I'm talking about whether Christy Side should be the coach going forward. I understand that. And I was upset about that Fever game the other day because it was just a bad product to watch. And of course, you know, when you're talking about the show itself or the league itself, many people are discussing it on platforms that are huge, like Monica McNutt on the Daily Show, and her back and forth with Stephen A. Smith and the discourse about whether the WNBA was being covered enough. And of course, you have people trying to bring race and gender and sexual orientation and all those things into it. But the bottom line is the WNBA right now and women's basketball is dominating the conversation in the midst of the NBA Finals. If there was a way to track words spoken, you know, just pure words spoken, so many more words would have been spoken about the WNBA and women's basketball than the NBA Finals. And out in reality, like, these kids aren't hearing about any of that nonsense when Clark and the Fever are out at this Habitat for Humanity event, volunteers building a new home. You know, you think those kids care? No, they see Caitlyn Clark, and it's super cool. And she's taking her time on an off day. You know, and the mat. Look at that. That's smiles. That's happiness, right? That's joy. That's what sports should be about. That's what this is really about. Don't get it twisted. That's what this is really about. And again, you know, it's not even just Caitlyn. It's not just Caitlyn, because this viral moment from this little girl with Angel Reese was one of the cutest things I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you guys saw this, but check this out. This is so damn.
Okay, my
Hold on. Let me rack it up right for you.
okay, my plan is to get Angel Reese to touch my sweater. Perfect. Now I'm never gonna wash this ever again, and I'm gonna rub it all over my sweatshirt. Now I will never wash this jersey or this sweatshirt ever again.
Is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen in your life? It's so adorable. And that little girl hasn't thought about any of this nonsense that anybody is saying. Those little kids that were with Caitlin Clark haven't thought about any of this nonsense that anyone is saying. you know. And Angel, by the way, to her credit, also did acknowledge that moment too. She posted it on her social media because obviously in the midst of that, she was just kind of running through. She didn't really probably realize what was going on there, but she did recognize that as well. And Caitlin Clark has been a huge catalyst, but as I've said, Angel Reese has a fan base too, and and everybody you're hearing more about all these different players. You're hearing more about the old guard of players as a result of this. Yeah, it may be in debate format, but it's also in part, letting more people be aware and probably Googling who Diana Taurasi is. I guarantee you more people have looked up who Asia Wilson is and what she's done and how good she is this year. Not to mention the rookie class and Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson and all that. So when sometimes you can get lost in all that, and I like to bring it back to this because these are the moments that you cannot deny, even if the little kid is getting denied. Now if the Indiana Fever can just harness some of that defensive energy, maybe they'll be onto something, because that's a team that really struggles getting stops, as we've seen. But the WNBA is everything. All the numbers are trending in a positive direction, which you wouldn't realize from the discourse. But just think of the children, I guess, is the message. Just think of the kids.